I'm going to start off with this video talking about Hills Like White Elephants first, and it's sort of got a spoiler, so I don't want you to watch this video until you've read the story. It's not all that long. You can find it in doc sharing. You can print it out, or you can just read it on the computer, and if the PDF is sort of tilted, you can just turn it on its side, and it should make it easier. I mostly want to address in this short video what the operation is. I don't know if any of you caught on to what it is. In the story, it's not identified as anything particular. So I'm curious to think what you all thought the operation was going to be. Obviously, this isn't a face-to-face class, so we can't have that discussion. But think about it for a second, if you haven't already, and I will tell you that the operation they're referring to is an abortion. And if you haven't thought of that, think about that now and whether it makes sense in the context of the story. I think that's, and I always have students who push back against this idea. Well, it's never explicitly said in the story, so couldn't it be anything? And I guess it could be anything, but really it couldn't be anything. Not to be crass, but they're not talking about a boob job here, right? Because there's a very serious tone that comes along with this this conversation that's happening in the story. And it seems to make sense, right? We have a couple, it's a man and a woman, and I think this fits the context of what's going on in the conversation and what's happening in the story. So that's a little bit of the spoiler, and maybe that will help the story make sense to you. If you read it through the first time and you're like, well, I don't understand why there's so much tension between these two people or what this operation is, and if you didn't realize, that's what we're talking about. And I guess, if you really feel like that's not what the operation is, you can bring that up in the discussion this week, but I feel pretty comfortable in reading the story that way. That's kind of the standard interpretation of the story. I don't know if Hemingway himself came out and acknowledged that. I can try to do some looking. But that's sort of, if you're trying to fill in the gap, that's the gap. The operation is an abortion.